In the past years, Paris has built a worldwide reputation for quick and efficient measures to tackle climate change. By reducing car parking, creating new cycle lanes and giving more space to pedestrians, the capital gets international praise for some of the choices they've made. And seen from abroad, Paris almost looks perfect, right? Right? Meanwhile, in France, Lyon is planning 12 lines of a brand new cycle lane network. Rennes creates 5 new lines in their 100-kilometer network. Strasbourg, with already 11% of journeys made by bike, wants it to go to 20%. Grenoble in the Alps has launched Vélo, a simple network that just links the suburbs together. And many more. It's a bit like Amsterdam, which is sometimes considered by the normies as the best city to cycle in the Netherlands. Maybe they don't know any other city in the Netherlands or never heard about de Beekduurstede. And yeah, if you thought this was Amsterdam, well, this is Delft, so... Paris has a tendency to steal the spotlight when it comes to, well, everything. I'm pretty sure most people hardly know about these cities that have been doing pretty much the same stuff for ages and sometimes better. And today I'd like to talk to you about a new cycle lane upgrade in an area of the Paris region we rarely talk about, the suburbs. Yes, Paris has its suburbs. Her suburbs? Some already know the French word banlieue, which originally described the circular area under any city's jurisdiction, and today it identifies the urban sprawl around a major city. Suburbs can vary a lot and can have very different features depending on geography or wealth or taste. I guess our zoning regulations are quite loose compared to other places, and most of these places were small villages or very small towns at best, about 120 years ago. The suburbs today are home to 10 million residents, or what Parisians call banlieusards. In comparison, Paris only has 2.2 million residents, or what suburbans call de Parisiens de p***. But counting this way, us against them, is what led to decades of an exclusive treatment. Paris has always been special, distancing herself from the affairs of those filthy peasants. I mean, literally. Vestiges like the Périphérique are deep wounds that further reinforce the rifts in the interest of the two populations that are just one, essentially. Now they're doing what they can to repair the mistakes of the past with projects like covering parts of the Périphérique or reclaiming the space for active uses, and sometimes both. It's only fairly recently that issues like public transportation are being discussed on a regional level. Metro line extensions are not just local, they're part of a greater plan. More on that later, aimed to benefit people in and out of the Paris border. But getting to these evolutions has not been easy, and it never could because... The region of Île-de-France, or the rest of the world as the de Parisiens de call it, is one of the 13 regions of France made of 8 départements. Paris is in the middle. The 3 départements around Paris are known as the Petite Couronne or Inner Ring, with places like La Défense, le Stade de France, Rungis, le Mont Valérien, the Ourcq Canal, the Villiers-sur-Marne IKEA, this cathedral, a total of 123 cities. Then there is the Grande Couronne or Outer Ring, with places like Disneyland, Fontainebleau, Versailles, Orly, Roissy-Charles de Gaulle, la Forêt domaniale de Saint-Germain-en-Laye, Marolles-en-Hurepoix, and more. 1,144 more in fact. Each département has towns or cities called communes. Each commune has a mayor who deals with the daily stuff on their respective lands. And that's it. No, on top of that, you have the intercommunalité, clusters of cities with common management of water, trash collection, culture and sports. And on top of that, you have the Métropole du Grand Paris. It was created by the French state in order to iron out everything, like it's been done in Lyon or Toulouse and 19 more large cities. The Métropole is a collection of 123 cities in the inner ring, Paris, and then it gets its powers from the other cities and départements, notably urban planning and a part of rail public transport, with regional projects like the Grand Paris Express. One of the plans was to dissolve the inner ring département and create a big happy group of cities under one entity.
It's actually much better having
131 communes
together. I never would have expected our merge to have gone as smoothly as it has.
You said merge.
Yes.
I certainly didn't say anything to give you that impression, did I?
I assume, and it's always dangerous to assume that we were one tribe now.
Just make sure you understand.
131 communes.
Never merged.
So instead of merging the département, they chose to create another layer by chopping the métropole in parts and give them control of trash collection, water, culture and sports. But wait, isn't it the same as intercommunalité? Yes. And that's it. Our system in many different fields is compared to a millefeuille, a pastry made of layers upon layers of thin tiles of scrounginess. It is used when describing ridiculous situations that can sometimes involve a series of unnecessarily meted people, boards, assemblies, etc. for seemingly straightforward requests. A simple veto anywhere along the line can shut down a project into oblivion. People remain confused as rules keep changing and new layers are created. And I think that most people here don't know or care about the métropole, what it actually is and what it means in their daily lives. For instance, I only discovered that I have spent the last year riding past one of these chargers, not knowing that the métropole is in charge of providing power for electric cars. Okay, I think I've got them all. Who does what? Towns are in charge of their streets. They have their own zoning regulation code that dictates what building goes here, what height it has to be, stuff like that. Départements are in charge of departmental roads across all towns. The métropole takes care of urban planning, and the region organizes land use with guidelines that every département must follow. So all of them share different aspects of zoning, and apparently sort of works. Anyway, all of these are involved in one way or another in the making of a cycle lane. From voting, to funding, to building, to ding ding. Paris is a city, Paris is a département, Paris is not a métropole territory. Bike lane designs can be consistent and there's little need for cooperation. But things are changing fast. In 2020, during the first year of the blip, after several cities including Paris installed temporary cycle lanes called Corona-pistes, the region announced a €300 million contribution to the new cycle infrastructure to be built between 2025 and 2030. The region is backing a plan designed by a collective of 42 cycling associations in Île-de-France just a year before. As a regional network, it was designed with no regard for boundaries, département, commune, territory or otherwise. These lines must answer to a set of high standards like continuity, minimum width and stuff, and getting everybody to agree on everything appears complicated. But while all of this seems confusing and bureaucratic, towns get it done. And to show what we can achieve, let me take you to the charming city of... This city is located at the northern edge of the Val-de-Marne département, outside of Paris, between the Seine and the Bois de Vincennes, and has a neighbor no one cares about and is always confused with this one. And let's be honest, this one too. Transit-wise, Metro Line 8 has two stops, Liberté and Charenton-École, the RER-D Regional Line R and the TGV pass but do not stop. I always wondered why. And the A4 motorway starts here. Charenton-le-Pont, like the name implies, has a bridge or two or seven that connects to Ivry-sur-Seine, Maison-Alfort and Alfortville. The metro bridge, the train and RER and TGV bridge, this footbridge, that was the inspiration behind this Dark Souls bridge.
Yeah, this is a mistake. Oh my god.
The Mandela Bridge, the other Mandela Bridge, and this namesake bridge. Bridge, 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 which is the beginning of a spell to summon J. Foreman. The département has had a taste of the orange peel and plans to upgrade some of their thoroughfares across municipalities, including a route that begins in Charenton. This plan has been implemented in the town's own project, when they published their thick plan and announced several redesigns of streets, contra-flow lanes, and low car speeds in residential areas. Charenton will also incorporate other cycling networks like the RER Vélo and the Vélopolitain, but these are different and I should probably talk about them in a separate video. This was made possible thanks to years of relentless activism on the local and regional levels and the help of associations such as Better Move by Bicycle and Collective Bikes Island of France. The process also included local residents and businesses who participated and gave their feedback. The protected bike lane is roughly 1 kilometer long and goes south in the direction of the town of Ivry-sur-Seine. It's a two-way path on one side of the road. It then splits to reach two bridges for each direction. This one continues the lane to Ivry, and this one stops in a shared bus lane. The lane is covered in pretty smooth and comfortable asphalt, I think, and is colored with a pinkish white because red was already taken for the pavement. Still, it makes it very clear that this is neither the pavement nor the road. With 41% of trips made by foot in the département, this redesign creates a walkable connection between the park and the river, the metro and the different neighborhoods, as well as a big shopping center, offices and a port. Plus it sits right in the middle of my fantasy line 19 of the Grand Paris Express, so you know. The region as a whole is slowly moving towards traffic calming and walkable spaces. These measures are more popular than ever in the banlieue, in Paris and the rest of France, even when generally negative news dominate the discourse. The inclusion of viable alternatives to cars in places some never thought possible in Paris has repercussions outside its limits and makes some of us dream and hope. Not to forget the countless associative projects like the Okami Ride, festive events like the Convergence Vélo, people like Stein van Oosteren, I think this is how we pronounce it, or Altes, or Laura, or Emmanuel, and so many more who give a positive outlook on active modes and help on the political and bureaucratic side of the battle, which remains the absolute final boss. So thank you, and thank you. If there are local transit projects in a cool city near you, and you think we should know about it, or your area is unknown to the rest of the world because RM Transit hasn't posted about it yet, but does its thing like the Paris suburbs are, tell me in the comments. Thank you for watching.